In the process of working with video, we sometimes encounter files that are too large, and we need to reduce them in size. One easy way to do that is through lossy compression. As the name implies, lossy compression is a process in which some of the video information is thrown away in an effort to make the file size smaller. As long as we don't get carried away, however, most people will not be able to notice that anything is missing. It's a balancing act. If we use too little compression, the video quality will be fine, but the file size will still be very large. If we use too much compression, the video quality will start to suffer, but the file size will be reduced substantially. We need to find something in between those two extremes, something that yields both video that looks good and video files that don't take up a great deal of space. To illustrate these concepts, let's experiment with different levels of compression on a video file. After clicking the Open File button on the left of the Shotcut button bar, I'll scroll through the contents of my desktop until I find the video named Wheat Ambient. On some machines, all I have to do is hover my mouse over the file for a few seconds before a little pop-up appears telling me the size is 7.23 megabytes. If you don't see the pop-up on your machine, you can find the size in another way. Try right-clicking on the file, and then in the drop-down menu that appears, click the Properties option at the bottom. About halfway down the left of the Properties window, we see the same information. The size is 7.23 megabytes. By edTPA standards, that's quite small. Let's say, however, just for the sake of argument, we want to reduce the size to less than 5 megabytes for some reason, and still have the playback quality look about the same as the original. I'll click the OK button at the bottom to close the Properties window. And then I'll double-click on Wheat Ambient to open it in Shotcut. I'll allow the video to play for a few seconds to get an idea of the quality of the original. Then I'll tap the spacebar to pause playback. Let's assume I want to compress the entire video. If I wanted to compress only a segment of the video, I would need to mark the in and out points on the timeline before performing any export procedure. Whenever I want to create a brand new video from an existing file, I click the Export button on the right of the Shotcut button bar. Usually, I can leave the settings under the Video, Audio, and Other tabs alone. It's the Codec tab I want to focus on, so that's the tab I'll click on. More specifically, I'm interested in adjusting the quality setting. Please remember that quality and compression are inversely related to one another. As I increase the quality value from 0 to 100, I'm actually decreasing the amount of compression, and therefore should not expect much of a reduction in file size. In fact, with some high-quality settings, I might actually wind up with a video that is larger than the original. That's certainly something I don't want. Conversely, as I decrease the quality setting from 100 to 0, I'm actually increasing the amount of compression and should therefore expect a large reduction in file size. It's difficult to guess what quality setting to use. Apparently, Shotcut thinks we should start off with a quality setting of 60. Let's try that and see what size and quality of video we'll be creating. I'll click the Export File button at the bottom left of the export window. I'll save my new file to the desktop and give it a name of wheat with 60 quality.mp4 or whatever file type I'm making. It's always a good idea to include the value of the setting you're using in the file name, especially if you're creating multiple versions of the same file with different settings. It helps you keep track of which file is which. Finally, I'll click the Save button at the bottom. Off to the right in the Jobs panel, we see the name of the brand new file we're making, and to the right of the name, we see the percentage of progress. Once the percentage value reaches 100, we know our job is done. In fact, the percentage value will be replaced by the word done when the project has completed. This won't take long at all because it's not a complicated job. We're already done. Let's check our work. I'll click the Open File button again. I'll find the brand new file called Wheat with 60 Quality on my desktop and check its size. I'll right-click on the file, go to Properties. This brand new video has a size of 10.8 megabytes. That's even larger than the size of the original file, which was only 7.23 megabytes. And it is certainly larger than our target value of 5 megabytes. Apparently, the quality setting is way too high. Since we made the file, though, let's see how it plays. I'll double-click on it to open it in Shotcut. The quality looks fine. The size is the problem. Let's try the procedure again with a lower quality setting. Never recompress a compressed file. Always go back upstream to the original video and start the process from that point. I'll click the Open File button again. On my desktop, I will open Wheat Ambient. I will click the Export button. I will then return to the Codec tab in the Export window, and I can either type in a new value for the quality, or I could use the up and down arrow keys to the right. This is just guesswork. Let's try a quality setting much lower. Let's try 10%. I'll click the Export File button at the bottom left of the export window. I'll be saving this file to my desktop, and I will call it Wheat with 10 quality.mp4, and then click Save. After this second export process has completed, let's check our work. With the aid of the Open File button, I'll return to my desktop. I'll right-click on Wheat with 10 Quality and select Properties to check its file size. That's better. This latest video has a size of 2.90 megabytes. Let's check the quality of the video. I'll double-click on Wheat with 10 Quality. Unfortunately, the playback quality of this new video is terrible. So we know two things. Using a quality setting of 60 on Wheat Ambient yields a good-looking video that has a large file size. Using a quality setting of 10 on Wheat Ambient yields a terrible-looking video with a much smaller file size. Apparently, the quality setting we want lies between 10 and 60. Perhaps with additional experimentation, we'll be able to find the right value. After some additional trial and error, I discovered that a quality setting of 35 for the original file, Wheat Ambient, yielded the best results. When I return to my desktop and locate the file named Wheat with 35 quality, I discover that its size is just shy of 5 megabytes, 4.97 megabytes to be exact. And when I double-click on it to play it, I notice that although the quality is not perfect, it's the best I can achieve under the present circumstances.